A dying man is holding stolen grace. Rome, 1499. A room that smells of fever and tallow. A merchant lies on a bed he will not leave. Beside him, wrapped in cloth, leaning against the wall, is a painted wooden panel he took from a church in Crete. He does not remember the name of the church. He remembers the weight of the panel under his arm as he walked to the harbor. He prays to what he stole. Think about that for a moment. Not a man praying to something given to him, not an heirloom, not a gift. He is begging for his life from an image he smuggled out of its home, carried across the sea, and hid among his possessions like contraband. And now that his body is failing, now that the walls of the room are closing, he turns to it. You know this posture. You may not have stolen an icon from Crete, but you have held something that was not yours to hold. A certainty, a relationship, a version of yourself, and felt it become unbearably heavy only when everything else fell apart. The merchant does something unexpected. He calls a friend. He confesses. He says, "Take this image, bring it to a church, place it where people can see it. I cannot carry it anymore." The friend agrees. The merchant dies, and the friend takes the icon home. That is the first betrayal. There will be others. The image you are about to see, the one that became one of the most recognized sacred images on earth, did not arrive at its destination through holiness. It arrived through theft, through a broken deathbed promise, through human hands that could not let go. What you probably do not know is what is hidden inside the image itself. A detail so small that most reproductions erase it. A detail about panic, about a child who has just seen how he is going to die. That detail changes everything. The friend who broke his promise dies not long after the merchant. The icon stays in the house. His wife knows the story, the theft, the deathbed wish, the promise her husband failed to keep. She keeps it anyway. This is not ignorance. This is a woman who understands exactly what she possesses and has decided that understanding is not enough to make her let go. She places the icon in a room where she can see it. Visitors ask about the strange Byzantine painting. She says nothing about Crete, nothing about the dead merchant. It is hers now. That is the only fact that matters. Then her daughter, 6 years old, begins to speak about a woman she sees at night. The woman tells the girl the same thing, every time. The image must leave this house. It belongs in a church, between two basilicas. The girl repeats the words the way children repeat things, without emphasis, without drama, as if she is reporting the weather. The mother does not listen. Not the first time, not the second, not the third. She holds the painted panel the way people hold arguments they know they have already lost, tighter, with both hands, jaw set. The tradition says it took a terrifying final vision, not to the child this time, but to the mother herself, before the grip broke. Before the icon left the house and entered the Church of San Matteo in Marilana. It stayed there for 300 years. 3 centuries of candlelight, prayer, and silence. Generations kneeling before the same wooden panel. Long enough to forget the theft. Long enough to forget the stubbornness. Then, in 1798, the French army enters Rome. Napoleon's soldiers do not distinguish between a relic and a piece of timber. San Matteo is gutted. The walls come down. The roof collapses into the nave. 300 years of accumulated silence, the soot on the ceiling, the grooves worn into the stone floor by kneeling pilgrims, the particular way the afternoon light hit the icon at Vespers, all of it, erased in a single campaign. But the night before the demolition, Augustinian monks pull the icon from the wall. They carry it through streets that are no longer safe for men in robes. They bring it to a small chapel attached to Santa Maria in Pastorula, a minor church, unremarkable, the kind of place you walk past without turning your head. They hang the icon on a side wall. They tell no one. And for 63 years, the most sought-after image in Rome hangs in a hallway where no one is looking. 63 years of dust, of prayers for its return going unanswered, while the object itself sits a few streets away. The monks who hid it die. The monks who replace them do not know what they have. The painting darkens. The colors withdraw beneath grime. If you passed it in that chapel, you would see a brown rectangle with faint shapes. You would keep walking. Except one boy did not keep walking. Sometime around 1850, a young altar boy named Michael Markey is serving in the Pastorula chapel. An old monk, half-blind, hands that shake, stops him in front of the side wall. He points to the darkened panel. He says, "Remember this, Michael. The Madonna of San Mateo is the one that hangs here in the chapel. That is all." One sentence from a dying man to a boy. The entire survival of 3 centuries of devotion, hanging on a single moment of someone deciding to say something out loud before it was too late. Michael Markey grows up. He becomes a Jesuit priest. In 1865, when the Redemptorists begin searching for the lost icon, it is Father Markey, now old himself, who tells them where to look. The icon surfaces, not through a miracle, through a memory that refused to dissolve. The most reproduced image of divine comfort in the Catholic world is a painting of a child in absolute terror. That is not a metaphor. Look at the icon. 2 archangels, Michael and Gabriel, hover on either side of the mother and child. They are holding objects, a cross, nails, a lance, a sponge soaked in vinegar. These are not abstract symbols. They are the specific tools that will be used to execute the child they are showing them to. The angels are not threatening. They are presenting a future that cannot be altered. The child has seen them. He has turned and bolted to his mother with such force that his right sandal has come loose. It hangs from his foot by a single broken strap. This is the detail that mass-produced copies erase, the physics of a small body in panic. Not a theological posture, a reflex, the involuntary spasm of a child who has just understood what is going to happen to him. And Mary, she is not looking at him. Her eyes are aimed forward, straight at you. Her hands hold him, but loosely. She is not shielding him from the vision. She is not pulling him to safety. She is holding him while he faces it. This is what people in hospital corridors recognize. Not the haloed figures, not the gold leaf, the sandal, the specific, physical collapse of composure when a doctor speaks a word that rearranges your entire life. The lurch below the ribs, the way your hands go cold seconds before your mind registers what was said. The icon does not promise rescue. Nowhere in the painting is there a hand stopping the cross from being assembled. Nowhere is there a gesture that says, "This will not happen." The merchant prayed before this panel and died anyway. The church that housed it for 3 centuries was leveled to rubble. Decades of prayers for its return were answered with nothing. And yet people keep coming to it. Not the ones searching for a way out, the ones who already know there is no way out. There is a testimony that surfaces again and again in forums where people discuss terminal diagnoses. They describe being drawn to this specific icon, not to the Virgin's expression, not to the golden background, but to the sandal, to the bare foot losing its hold. They say, "That is me. That is the exact moment I occupy." The moment where your body has already reacted, the cold hands, the dry mouth, the legs that stop trusting the floor, before your courage or your theology can catch up. The icon does not resolve the panic. It holds it. The way the mother in the painting holds the child, present, near, without pretending the nails are not real. You have sat in a room where a single sentence collapsed the future. You have felt the strap give way. Everyone has, or everyone will. The question the icon leaves is not whether rescue is coming. It is simpler and worse. What if being held inside the terror, without exit, without explanation, is itself what help looks like? There is no single documented case with a name and date that the research isolates. What follows is a composite drawn from gathered accounts. A woman, middle-aged, a mother, receives a diagnosis she expected but was not ready to hear. The scans confirm what the symptoms had been whispering. She is not a person who prays. She has not entered a church in years. But someone, a neighbor, a coworker, it varies in different versions, gives her a small printed card with the icon on it. The cheap kind, laminated, slightly too glossy, the gold background reduced to mustard yellow by a low-resolution printer. She puts it on her nightstand, not out of faith, out of the absence of anything else to jjigae there. She describes the first week as noise, phone calls, appointments, the logistics of being ill. The card sits beneath a glass of water and a bottle of pills she keeps forgetting to open. Then one night she picks it up. She looks at it closely for the first time. She sees the child's foot, the strap giving way. Jjigae says, And this is the phrase that repeats across these accounts. She says, "He is as frightened as I am." Not, "He will save me." Not, "She will intercede." He is as frightened as I am. The doctors recorded what the doctors record. The illness followed its clinical trajectory. But the woman describes a shift she cannot name, a point where the panic did not disappear but changed shape. It stopped being a wall. It became a room she could stand in. She stopped asking for the fear to be taken away. She started asking for company inside it. That is all. No blinding light, no reversal of prognosis. A woman and a laminated card and a sandal she recognized. The shift was not dramatic. It was the quietest thing that had ever happened to her. Block 6. Practice. People come to this image when they have stopped asking to be saved and started asking not to be alone in it. The original icon, 21 inches by 17, painted on wood, restored in 1990, hangs above the high altar of the Church of Sant'Alfonso di Liguori on Via Marilana in Rome, between the basilicas of St. Mary Major and St. John Lateran. The exact location the tradition prescribed 5 centuries ago. The feast is celebrated on June 27th. If you go, do not look for it on the walls. Look up, and when you see it, find the right foot. In 1499, a man lay in a room that smelled of fever, staring at a painted panel he took from Crete. He wanted it to be a door out of his dying. It was not. 3.5 centuries later, Pope Pius IX gave that exact panel to the Redemptorists. He did not say, "Protect her." He said, "Make her known." And they did, so thoroughly that the image now exists on millions of holy cards, in thousands of churches, on refrigerator magnets and dashboard stickers, and pixelated JPEGs shared in group chats at 2 in the morning by people who do not know what else to send. Most of those copies are terrible. The colors are wrong, the gold is flat, the sandal is invisible. It does not matter. Because the woman in a kitchen in Manila who pins a faded print above her stove is not venerating the brushwork, and the man in a hospital bed in Sao Paulo who holds a creased card agape his chest is not analyzing the Byzantine technique. They are doing exactly what that merchant did in that Roman room. They are reaching for something they cannot fully explain, in a moment when explanation is beside the point. The distance from the original wood is enormous. The gesture is identical. Here is the question I want to leave with you, and it is not about the icon. When the panic comes, and it will, in whatever form it takes, who do you want in the room? Some hopes it, Jake, or someone who has seen exactly what you have seen, and stays. If this reached you, sit with it for a moment before you scroll. Then subscribe so the next one finds you too.